Welcome to the first FIA race event in India for a decade. This is going to be a really entertaining weekend here in Hyderabad in the south of India. And that is the Charminar, a mosque from 1591 that is the center of the city. And we are here just next to the Hussain Sagar Lake for the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship, the 2023 Green Co Hyderabad E-Prix. This is the fourth round of the season, and it will be, as I say, the first Formula E race happening in India. There's a look at the circuit. But we have had 3 races so far this season. The first one won by Jake Dennis in Mexico City, then the next 2 in Diriyah, won by Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche. Now we're here in Hyderabad, the first of 3 brand new race tracks coming up. Cape Town in February, and then Sao Paulo in the middle of March. Doubleheader in Berlin, a race in Monaco, doubleheader in Jakarta, new race for Formula E in Portland, Oregon, doubleheader in Rome, doubleheader in London to complete the season. So, first practice session about to get underway. It's a look at Jake Dennis a little earlier on, second in the championship. I presume that's what he's meaning with that sign. Nick Cassidy getting ready to go also. René Rast, after a podium finish last time out in Diriyah, looking for a nice performance here as well. And Eduardo Mortara finally got off the mark in terms of points last time out in Diriyah also. But the man with the most points at the top of the championship is Pascal Wehrlein. 68 points for the Tag Heuer Porsche driver. Jake Dennis behind him, 6 points behind. Even if neither of those drivers score any points this weekend, they will still be 1-2 in the championship at the end of Saturday, because Buemi and Bird and the like are a little too far away from being able to catch them. And some big names struggling to get off the mark in the early stages. Antonio Felix da Costa in the Porsche only with 6 points, reigning champion Stoffel van Dorn 1 point from the first 3 races. Max Günther yet to be off the mark as well for the Maserati team. Only one team not off the mark yet in the teams championship, and that is the Abt Cupra team. They are 1 point behind Neo 333, but at the top it's Avalanche Andretti and Tag Heuer Porsche who are fighting it out. The Andretti team with Porsche powertrains. Now I've got Nelson Piquet Jr., the Season 1 champion, and Karun Chanduk with me in the commentary position. And Karun, here's a look at this brand new Hyderabad street circuit.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a really interesting layout, I think. It's got quite a good flow to it. The first chicane is really quite fast. The driver's approaching at a decent speed, and then it's quite a run, Jack, to the turn 3 hairpin, big braking zone, quite a tight hairpin where we're going to have the attack mode. It's quite dusty offline, so I think overtaking could be tricky. And then you come into this middle part of the lap, turn 6, quite a tight left-hander, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 come at you pretty quickly, one after the other. 12, 13, a little chicane before a hairpin at 14, and then you're coming up towards the end of the lap, another chicane at 16, 17, and then the right-hander at turn 18 brings you to the finish line.
Well, we had Shakedown earlier on, Nelson, and it was very dusty offline and very dusty online also, to be honest.
Hey everybody, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting track. I think not only for the dust, but because it's going to be, it seems like it's going to be a quick track. So the quicker it is, obviously the higher the chance of drivers going a little bit offline. And obviously, as we saw, a lot of dust, meaning that if you go a bit offline, you're going to have a hard time because the track is has a lot of dust. So yeah, I'm not sure how long it's going to take to clean up, but for sure they're going to spend most of the weekend cleaning it up.
36 degrees air temperature, track temperature. Air is at 34 degrees. Not very humid though, which is nice. Most of the times last year when you have a hot Formula race, it's humid as well, but very pleasant conditions here. As you might have just seen, free practice won't start on time. We're imagining a 15-minute delay approximately, so we should be starting fairly soon. There's a look at the final corner at turn 18, and there's the pit lane on the right-hand side. And yeah, it's a cool circuit, I think. It's nice and big and wide in places, but sort of tight and twisty and narrow in that middle sector. It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, I think I'd be interested to see when the weekend unfolds and we get more cars on track and they start to clear off some of this dust, you know, how that impacts the racing. I think it'll be quite helpful, actually, if we get some people driving offline down to turn 3. I don't think anyone will, but if we can convince some of them to go offline down to turn 3, that'll help some of the racing and overtaking.
Jean-Eric Verne and Stoffel Van Dorn in the back of the DS Penske garage.
I spoke a little bit with Ollie, and he was pretty excited with the track. Said it's going to be a bit dirty in the beginning, but once it gets cleaned up, it's going to be one of those high-speed, taking a bit of risk track, which it's going to be fun to see the drivers trying to use the most out of the tracks, out of the cars. Because it's going to be, you're going to have a bit of guts in this one over here, I think, a couple of corners.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver Turvey, the reserve driver for DS Penske. Jake Dennis at Avalanche Andretti, second in the championship. And we had Oliver Askew with us for the first couple of races. And yeah, I've never seen Jake's hair look that bad, honestly. He's normally quite well groomed, but it's a bit of a shunt hair-wise. Askew says he sees a different Jake Dennis this year. It's just not, you know, hugely different, but just that little bit more focused, because he came in as a rookie, nothing to lose, was in championship contention. Last year didn't have the car to be fighting at the front, but this year it's a title fight, and he's slightly a bit more serious because of it, I think.
He's done a really good job, hasn't he? I think if you look at the race in Saudi, he was starting 11th on the grid and just calmly picked his way through the pack. You know, he knows he's in a championship fight. He didn't go for a risky move, damage the front wing, none of that stuff. He just thought, right, I need to make sure I get the maximum amount of points, and worked his way up.
Yeah, Jake Dennis and Jake Hughes, both of them, they're really, really impressing me. So I think they're the two drivers for sure for us to keep an eye on. I think they're going to be the two contenders, especially Jake Hughes with the McLaren. I think he's showing a lot of improvement, maturity, speed. So yeah, I'm gonna keep a close eye on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas de Grassi for Mahindra. Big weekend for Mahindra, actually, being an Indian manufacturer. Lots of dinners for de Grassi to attend to. Arrived at the hotel the other night to find him all suited and booted and ready to go. And this is a look at the circuit, and this is coming around that sort of sweeping section, I think, of turns 12 and 13. It might be 14. It's always difficult with a new track.
Would you go on that big slide, Jack?
Yeah,
I'd like to see you go on that big slide.
It's not that big.
Yeah. Is it a water slide, or is it just a regular slide?
I think it's water slide.
Yeah, I'd do that. So while there's a delay, we'll all go on the slide.
Go on the slide for
exactly.
For
no,
fun.
this is MTR Gardens, which has got all sorts of
big bucket of ice.
In. Yeah, that'll be good. And you can see here, right by the sort of edges of the. They had the track cleaners out a little.
It seems much cleaner already.
Yeah, but they had the track cleaners out to try and do some help in between Shakedown and FP1. But you can see the leaves and stuff offline.
All the trees around the track, it seems, reminds us a little bit of London or the Battersea Park. Maybe a bit wider than Battersea Park.
It couldn't be any narrower.
Yeah.
And there's the look at the city itself. We're about 30 minutes on a good tuk-tuk run from Charminar and the centre of the city, and this mall here on the left-hand side. And this is the sort of final chicane with the pit lane entry there on the right.
You've been enjoying the food and the sights of Hyderabad, haven't you, Jack?
Paneer tikka pizza.
Paneer tikka pizza.
Yeah, that's what I had last night. an Indian classic, no? Have I been doing this wrong?
I suppose the Italians have Indianized pizza when they come here.
No, I also had some really spicy chicken stuff, which I can't remember what it was, and going for biryani tonight.
Very good.
Very good. To a famous biryani place, apparently. So looking forward to that. Kelvin van der Linde, then, who is the South African in at the app team. It was his debut in Diriyah, so he's trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible. I'm interested to see what he can do here, because, you know, he's got one weekend under his belt. So he's sort of only one race behind his teammate Nico Muller in terms of actual race experience with this car. And there is Jake Hughes, who Nelson was discussing earlier, and especially in qualifying, Karun, he's been a bit of a revelation almost.
Yeah, he's been really, really, really impressive. I think top 3 in all 3 qualifyings, isn't it? Which for a rookie is really strong. I think the McLaren is, we saw in Saudi, didn't we, Jack, when we were looking on the pad side by side, they're very good on the brakes. They've got really good braking stability. They're able to trail the brakes in, which I think with a Hankook tyre in particular, that's quite an advantage. And yeah, but he's putting the lap together in qualifying.
Interesting that Hughes is all ready to go, but some of the other gang are just sitting around chilling. Oh, Nato's getting ready to go now. The Frenchman for the Nissan team. Nissan struggling a little. They've got the same powertrain as McLaren, but currently only have 1 points finish, which was Sasha Fenestraz's 8th place last time out. Has won a race, Norman Nato, in the final race of season 8 in Berlin, as he gets ready to hop in the car and get it going for this first half-hour practice session. And Sebastian Buemi too. Lovely to see Buemi back at the front, Karun, isn't it?
It's lovely for him. I'm sure he's, yeah, you know, he looked very happy in Saudi, didn't he? He did a good job in qualifying to get pole position there. I think didn't quite have the pace, did he, in the race compared to Jake Dennis and Pascal Wehrlein, but yeah, I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, Jaguar powertrains for them this year, hence the Jaguar chap sitting over on the left-hand side there. Nico Muller in the other Abt Cupra, yet to get off the mark this season, Abt Cupra, and Muller has actually DNF'd in both races in Diriyah, hit the wall as well in, I think, qualifying. Or maybe, no, I think it was free practice he hit the wall and then missed qualifying, but he'll be hoping to get going again. They haven't decided yet who is racing in Cape Town. Abt are going to be taking that decision. They might have said today that they were going to make that decision. I'll just have a look at that. But Evans is chill. He's in no rush. What would you be doing now, Nelson? Would you be sitting in the car waiting like Jake Hughes or scrolling Instagram like Mitch Evans?
It depends how long this is going to take. I'm sure some of the drivers know it's going to take long. I think he just noticed the camera was was chasing him, so he just dropped the phone very quickly over there. Lets me focus on the car now.
You'd be napping. You were very good at just having your power naps, weren't you?
I like napping. It just depends on the jet lag. Like, I was napping 10 minutes ago, but that was just because...
It was 4 minutes ago, I think.
we were joking, saying it's been 20 years since we did F3 together.
20 years.
But I'll never forget, we were in I
was doing F3 when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, well, yeah. we were in Pembrey one day, and he was asleep in the car, like in between runs. It's just like quick power nap. It's amazing. Anyway.
Let's look at Charminar down in the center of town, famous for its bangles. There's the Buddha statue out on the lake, built in the early 1990s. And yeah, a really, really cool city this. There on the top of the hill, Bila Mandir, the Hindu temple, built in 1976. You can get involved this weekend as well by scanning the QR code on the left and play Formulary Predictor. That'll take you to the Formulary app where you can get involved in the predictor. So we're hoping that the session will be starting soonish. And you can see this is the roundabout at turn 18 with the Indira Gandhi statue in the middle. That's where the podium is going to be at the end of the race as well. And that's the final corner at turn 18. I was going to find out in between sessions, but by finding out it was going to be asking you, so I'll just ask you on air. Is this the first street circuit race in India, or have they raced on streets before?
I would say it's the first international street race in India. We actually had a street race in Calcutta back in 2004 or 5, a national racing event.
Really?
Yeah, it was when they were building a new highway in Calcutta. But yeah, it was for a small national series. So this is, I would say, the first proper international level street circuit.
Yeah. Dan Ticktum now getting in, who's been very impressive in qualifying. The Neo not necessarily having the speed.
But it is one of the most good-looking cars on the grid.
You like it?
I love the livery. I really like it.
It's very funky. It goes nicely with Tictum's helmet as well. And that lovely color on the
interior.
On the interior as well. Great. Well, about great fashion sense, but like really interesting fashion sense.
Oh,
Dan
back
Tictum.
out.
You've been shopping with Dan, haven't you? I feel like you and he.
No, I have not. I would like to
you
do
and
that,
he going
actually.
shopping would be a very funny day out. Just to send a camera to follow you too.
I would love to do that. There's Antonio Felix da Costa. I got slated on the flight out here for my trainers. Everyone was laughing at me for my trainers because they were an old, but not these ones, but these other ones I wore. Apparently they were a really old man brand that I was wearing, and everyone was rinsing me for it.
Well, should we post a picture online for for the millions of people listening to us at the moment? we can show them what.
Yeah, well, I thought they're nice, comfy slip-ons. I don't really understand the. We got Nikki and Saunders at the back of the
Nikki Shields has arrived in her bathroom slippers today, so.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I would love to do a shopping trip with Dan Tictum. I think that would be great. Hashtag content. There's Nick Cassidy getting ready to head out in the Envision. Hasn't quite managed to hook it up yet this season. Buemi third in the championship. Cassidy currently 10th. He's made it into the final of qualifying twice and won 6 duels, but hasn't had a podium. I don't think he's had a podium since his win in New York City last year, Nick Cassidy, in those bizarre circumstances when he crashed out from the lead in the rain, but the red flag was flown. Max Günther in the Maserati MSG, sitting at the wheel and ready to go out as well. As I say, he got Maserati off the mark. Here's Scott Elkins.
We unfortunately have a further delay. Our estimated time now for the start of the session is 1700. Estimated time for the start of the session is 1700. I'll give you further updates.
Okay, so a further delay. Scott Elkins there in the middle, and so another 15 minutes or so before we hopefully will be getting underway. And Günther, having just got in, maybe we'll get out again. There's the Hankook tyres that are going to be crucial this weekend. Sergio Sette Camera hopping out. And he was just about ready to go, Sergio. Do you know Sergio Sette Camera at all? You come across, or not really much?
Different generations. I mean, obviously,
well,
we know each other from Brazil. Not that much. Karun was lying about this 20 years ago, racing together. I don't know where he's getting that from. But, yeah, no, I mean, we know him from a couple of Porsche races in Brazil. He's done endurance races that sometimes he's been, yeah, but he's a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah, maybe a year or two.
Andre Lotterer. He's your generation, surely.
He's older than us.
He's older.
Really?
Look how much white hair he has.
Getting frustrated and ready to head out. Never been to India before, Andre Lotterer, but he's had, well, he had his teammate Lorraine Kartikeyan in the World Endurance Championship, and Neil Jani as well he was teammates with, who's got an Indian mother, I believe, Neil Jani.
I mean, you were clutching for some tenuous Indian links there, aren't you?
Anyway, we've got to go down to Radzi.
I'm currently stood just in the pit lane here, just outside Neo, and I have to say, the work that's been done over the course of the last 48 hours has been absolutely fantastic here. Just as we find out there's been a bit of a delay to FP1, a lot of the drivers taking the opportunity to hydrate themselves, the teams having yet more time to make the final preparations needed. As I sort of look around here, the sights and the sounds of Hyderabad have been absolutely fantastic. The people are so much behind this incredible inaugural event here in Hyderabad, and indeed in India, the first time that Formula E takes place here. And as I look at what will eventually be where the presentations are made with the drivers that come first, second and third in just about 24 hours time, that has transformed. It was a working roundabout yesterday, in fact, the taxis have been parking, dropping people off there, but now it's all dedicated. It is about a track. It is about making drama, making history, and it's safe to say all the teams here, it's a big unknown here, but that's what makes it so exciting. We don't know what to expect, but if we do know anything about Formula E, it is expect the unexpected, because the drama always delivers on the track. Will we see the Porsche powertrain dominate once again? It's what a lot of people are talking about. Or could it be the fairy tale? Could Mahindra, in fact, manage to get themselves on the podium? What a moment that would be for the country, and indeed the Mahindra team. Just being here, there's a real sense of fervour and excitement, and this might be FP1 now, then FP2 tomorrow morning. When quali happens, followed by the race, it's safe to say it is going to be something special.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And in fact, just landing at the airport, it's Formula E signage everywhere. Nick Heidfeld hanging around this weekend, chatting to Oliver Rowland. Heidfeld, a former Mahindra driver, and was still part of the team the last few years. Having a chat with Rowland, who's got his sort of ice vesty thing on, although it looks like a used bulletproof vest, really, doesn't it, with all the little holes in it. But keeping cool, Oliver Rowland in the back of the Mahindra garage, and they haven't had a, well, Degrassi had that third place in Mexico City, but no points so yet for Oliver Rowland. As Heidfeld, who has the joint record with Andre Lotterer for the most Formula E podiums without a win. They are joint on 8 on that.
Doesn't he hold the F1 record?
I think he has the F1 record as
for
well.
most podiums without a win.
Yeah.
I think he's got.
I think you could be right. So yeah, I think he's got it in both series, which is impressive. It's something. So we've got course cars on track, so hopefully that means we're close enough, or closer, to getting underway. Hashtag Hyderabad E-Prix, of course, if you want to get in touch over the course of the weekend. Always good to hear from you guys. This is up towards the pit lane chicane at the. And this is where the grid hatchings here are sort of for the dummy grid, before they will then make their way around to the actual start grid, which is just out through these next couple of corners. As I say, we should be getting underway in around about 10 minutes time or so. There you can see another of the course cars just waiting over at the side. Fred Bertrand, a busy weekend for him. It's the first time I've seen him not in a dinner jacket off to a dinner. But
for everyone the same.
super difficult track.
That's their powertrain partners, aren't they? The gentleman on the left from ZF.
Ah, yes.
So.
Yeah, let's see.
There's Neon McLaren. Waiting to get away. Oh, interesting. Their clocks on their laptops still in English time. No,
it's not.
What time's that?
Well, it's like an hour and a
half
half
out. I think it's because
it's in Saudi Arabia time.
Oh,
yes.
They haven't changed them since Saudi.
They haven't changed the clocks in Saudi Arabia. You think they'll? What?
Yeah.
That's not very.
It's not very Neon McLaren.
Neon McLaren.
Yeah. Is René Rast?
It's not very German. I bet his clock's the right time.
Yeah, no, exactly. This was a little look back at some of the action in Shakedown earlier on today. Very short session and untimed, but just to give the drivers a first view of the circuit. Da Costa, Jake Dennis, Jake Hughes, Sam Bird. Out they went onto a very dusty circuit, very tentative in the early stages. That's the very quick Sagar chicane. This is the pit chicane right at the end of the lap. Jake Dennis was rally crossing his way around, trying to find some grip out there. Sergio Sede Camerout braked himself into the hairpin at turn 3. Not quite as much as Kelvin van der Linde though. It looked like software problems, and van der Linde crunching into the barriers. In a very strange scenario, Degrassi was getting loose and cut the corner. And then Van der Linde had the same problem again at the same corner. But hopefully, some rowing. You a rower?
I used to, yeah. Now I have a rowing machine because I live in England and it's cold and raining all the time. But
the place with the most famous rowing race in the world?
Yeah, but I didn't go to Oxford or Cambridge.
Did you not? Very sustainable transport as well.
But did you used to live in Oxford when we were doing F3?
No, Brackley.
Ah.
I wasn't rich enough to live in Oxford. I did.
So there's Florian Modlinger then at the Porsche team, and I mean, what a job! They had maybe, well, not under-delivered, but they were putting a lot of pressure on themselves this season because they joined Gen 2 a year late. Were always on the back foot, and there was all this talk of this year we're on the same level playing field. So they kind of had to deliver, and then they have so far.
But I mean, when Porsche arrives in any category, you expect them to be successful, don't you?
Yeah.
Like you expect them to be investing and getting the right people and the right drivers and the right team to win. So I think you're right. Yeah, I think they did under-deliver in Gen 2, and actually what we're seeing now is what we expect from a historic motorsport brand like Porsche.
So we hopefully have around about 10 minutes before free practice finally begins here in Hyderabad. Free practice 2 getting underway tomorrow morning at about 8 o'clock local time, and then the race at 3 o'clock local time with qualifying in the middle. Eduardo Mortara and his funky lid waiting to take to the track. Difficult weekend for Maserati in Diriyah, even though they did manage to pick up that 9th place finish with Eduardo Mortara. Not exactly what they hoped for coming into the season, having topped the pre-season testing times in Valencia. And I think Da Costa's, he's always happy, isn't he? It's quite interesting. But speaking of cheeky, chirpy chappies, we can head down to the pit lane and speak to maybe the chirpiest chap on the grid. He's down in the pit lane with Radzi. At home, you can try and guess who I'm talking about. See if you get it right. Radzi.
I've just walked past the Neo 333 garage. I've bumped into Dan Ticktum. He's very kindly given up a minute of his time. Dan, this delay, not ideal. How is it from a driving standpoint dealing with these delays?
I mean, you just prepare, obviously, and then it gets delayed. I mean, it's not a massive difference for us. Nothing on the track's going to change too much. I mean, it would be nice if we had some information as to what the delay is, but at the moment, I know nothing. But yeah, I've got to hop in shortly, so.
And I saw you on Zoom to somebody. Clearly, you are very chilled right now.
Yeah, very relaxed. Yeah, to be honest, people get the wrong impression of me. But to be honest, I'm quite chilled most of the time.
We'd love to see you qualify like you managed to the last couple of races, mate. Good luck for this one.
I'd hope so. Thank you very much. Cheers.
So Dan Ticktum. But he's yeah, a lot of time for Dan Ticktum actually. A lot of time for him. He's the only driver. Well, no, he's not the only, but one of the only drivers where you're sitting at lunch and he just comes and sits next to you, doesn't he? Like every lunchtime. Maybe he's just got.
Maybe he just likes you, Jack. Have you thought of that?
Yeah, I've thought about that and pretty swiftly discounted that as the possibility. But he's been very impressive this year, Ticktum, particularly in qualifying. So we hopefully will be getting underway fairly shortly here. Still the estimated start time being shown as 5 o'clock local time. Now, Karun, this is a lap from Shakedown earlier on, so it's not full power, but it's Sebastian Buemi heading into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, it is. You can see quite early on the power there to try and get a good exit for this long straight. As you were saying before, I think it's one of the longest runs we get on the calendar. Bit of movement under braking, the back of the car not particularly gripped up at this early stage, all the dust still on the track. Through the little kinks at turns 4 or 5, there's a car on the left-hand side off the line who's about to block us. Oh, yes, arm wave, classic arm wave from Buemi. How many times have we seen that in the last 8 years? Into this this flowing sector now. This is going to be tricky, I think, for the drive, because one of the challenges they've talked about in the first 3 races is how braking and turning is really challenging at the moment with the current Hankook tires. And again here, this coming up into this chicane, you've got another sequence of corners where turns up into 12 and 13, where you've got to brake and turn. And that is, I think we're going to see some differences in terms of car performance and also the way the drivers approach it. But up towards the last chicane, pretty neat and tidy, and then the last corner.
So that is a lap, and then the timing line is just here. That is a lap of the Hyderabad street circuit. As he crunches over those curbs again. Down at the chicane, Sebastian Buemi. Number 16, I keep meaning to ask why he's number 16 this weekend, but, well, every weekend
Attention all teams, this is race control. Unfortunately, we have another delay. Our next target time for the start of the session is 17:15. Start of the session is 17:15. Sincere apologies. 17:50. Obviously, we're working on some other things, so I will give you an update as soon as we have information.
So, a little bit more of a delay. Got another 20 minutes or so until hopefully we get free practice underway. And Buemi shakes his head. He just got all strapped in as well. As I say, there's a look at the Bulamandir temple at the top of the hill. You can get involved in the Formula E Predictor if you want. Scan the QR code and get stuck in. I'm about to ask a very stupid question, Karoom, but I haven't looked it up. Did you race in India growing up, or did you move straight to Europe, or what was your vibe?
I did 1 year of racing in India. So the last time I was 16 years old. The last time I raced in India. Yeah.
Wow. What was that in?
In Formula Maruti. It's a little 800cc single-seater category that we have here in India. We had here in India.
Yeah.
And there's a racetrack in Chennai. There's a permanent racetrack in Chennai which runs. In fact, you've commentated there on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I saw it.
Nice. Then you moved to England to meet up with me.
Yeah, and then it got problematic because you were a bit too quick.
There's a look at, as I say, some of the downtown Charminar area. Famous for its bangles. Hyderabad famous for its pearl industry. Not the pearls themselves, but the machining of the pearls is what Hyderabad is famous for. One of the things. Anyway, and lots of man-made lakes around here. And there's one of the flyovers. And you won 7 out of 10 races in Formula Maruti.
Don't sound so shocked.
No, that's good effort.
Thanks, Jack.
In the year 2000. Scored, and you pole in every race.
You stop sounding so shocked, Jack.
No,
Just talk about something else.
It was a whitewash. Here's a few shots from Shakedown earlier on. Max Gunter in the Maserati. Coming through that quick sequence at 12 and 13. On the run down towards turn 14 here, Van der Linde wrestling the car a little, and I would suggest maybe understeering the car a little as he gets on the dirty stuff.
Hey, attention all teams, this is Race Control again. Just to kind of answer a bunch of emails that are flowing through. Once the session begins, we'll try to stick to the schedule of having the driver's briefing 45 minutes after the end of the session. And we'll also have a respective curfew adjustment as well. But obviously until the session starts, we can't provide those specific times. So we're aware of those two things that need to be adjusted, and know that we're keeping those in mind, but we can't really define them until we get started. So thanks.
Scott Elkins answers his emails.
Send him one.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think I have his don't think I have his email.
I'll tell you what you can do. You can send Ian James an email and ask him why their clocks are wrong.
yeah, exactly. There's a look at the neon McLaren coming through. Sergio Sede camera as well. 2001 Formula Asia champion as well, 2001.
Are you on Wikipedia?
This is great. Yeah. I'm going through your career now. I've never got, and then in 2002 British F3.
So
that's it. And then I know the rest of the, off the top of my head by heart. But it's just the early years I wasn't sure of. Pascal Wehrlein there coming through in the Porsche, the championship leader coming into this race in Hyderabad. Some more rowing. Great stuff. Now, we're going to head back down to the pit lane, join Radzi, who's with Oliver Turvey.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Oliver Turvey, right outside of DS Penske as we stand here, as a reserve driver and a sporting advisor. Perfect person to talk about the delays that are happening here, but specifically India. It's the inaugural E-Prix. How exciting is this for the guys?
Yeah, definitely. It's very exciting to have a new race here in India, in Hyderabad. I've put on a fantastic track. I think it's a really challenging one, so some fast sections, some very flowing corners. So yeah, and challenging conditions out there, also in Shakedown. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in FP1.
When you don't have much data going into a track like this and it is unknown, how do you cope with that as a driver? Is that something that's exciting?
Yeah, definitely. It's always exciting going to new tracks. I think sometimes the drivers can make a difference learning the track quickly. Both our guys have always been straight on the pace in free practice. So yeah, I think we did a lot of work last week on the simulator as well. So the team have been working hard, trying to improve, and hopefully we can have a strong weekend. And
in terms of this weekend, what would success possibly look like for yourselves?
For these guys, they want to win. They won the championship a few times, and it's definitely both of them want to be winning races. So certainly, if we can be on the podium and hopefully on the top step.
Oliver, thanks for your time.
Thanks.
So Oliver Turvey, former teammate of yours, Oliver Turvey. You chatted. Oh yeah, you said you had a little chat with him earlier.
Yeah, it was the first guy that I bumped into this morning over here. So shame he's not racing this year. Such a good driver, good talent. Yeah, shame. Hopefully see him back in the car. I even thought that he was maybe going to replace Robin Frins after the Mexico incident. But I think teams are getting pretty serious about this test driver role and not being able to drive different cars. And, but he would have been good for him.
Otherwise, in a normal scenario, if you lose it, like in Barcelona, you go out with a new tire on the out lap, and then you go for an old tire, you can see the trend. But I cannot see your trend. I try to overlay.
Talking about something with the tyres, Lucas de Grassi and Oliver Rowland, fascinated by what he's got to say. Let's go back down to Radzi.
Well, I'm currently outside the Neo 333 garage with Sergio Sette camera. Sergio, these delays are very frustrating, but how are you feeling about competing in India?
Well, it's a new track. It's exciting. There was a lot of dust out there the first time out during Shakedown. But it cleaned up very fast. I'm expecting the grip to increase fairly quickly. And it's a fun track. I think once the grip is there, we'll have some speed in the corners and have some good fun. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. And hopefully it's a good one for me. I'm taking this round as a round to really build confidence and restart the season.
I guess in some respects it's restarting for everyone. It's a new track. How do you deal with a new track?
You just do the same, but a bit more intense. So of course you know less, so everything has more weight on the preparation side. So the simulator, the track walk, you've got to do that has some extra value when you've never been to that track in real life. So that's the main difference.
A lot of excitement here. There'll be as much excitement in South Africa, another new track. And the third new track is one that you're going to know pretty well. It's going to be in Brazil, homecoming for yourself.
I think people will be surprised like how much Brazilian people will welcome Formula E. Motorsports is ingrained in our culture. People are very excited about everything. São Paulo is a great city, plenty of restaurants, just things to do. So anyone that joins for the race will have a good time.
Thanks for today. Go well today.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, looking forward to Sao Paulo. Set a camera from Belo Horizonte. Hey, Karun, give him your headset. Come on, you got nothing else to do. So we've been joined now by Jean-Eric Verne, the two-time champion from DS Penske. How are you doing?
Very good. What's going on?
We just spoke to Sergio Sette camera, yeah.
But there is still another delay?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They're not started. No, currently 5:15. The Free Practice 1 has been delayed. This is official, what the reason. Free Practice 1 has been delayed while local authorities resolved an operational issue on the roads around the track. So there you go. Dirty track, dusty
Welcome
track
to
earlier.
India.
Yeah. What do you think of the track?
Track looks cool. I mean, the layout is nice. Just extremely dirty. I've never seen that in my history in Formula E. So I don't think they have the machine to clean the track though. So it's going to be complicated.
And you've raced in India before, yeah?
Yeah, in F1.
Yeah.
That was okay.
Cool, great answer. Thanks, you can go now.
All right, see you guys, have fun.
Yeah, have a nice practice session. So, Jean-Eric Vergne popping in for a minute. That's not really what he signed up for, but got to be done. And yeah, I can't remember what he... I'll look up Jean-Eric Vergne's Indian Grand Prix results, shall I? The answers that everyone knows. Unless you know that off the top of your head. Oh, Karim's eating now. Slight
Sorry,
delay.
I missed lunch, so...
So hopefully we should be getting underway soon. I know I've been telling you guys that for 35 minutes, but it does seem like we're getting towards that kind of way. And as the sun begins, the sun sets at 6:15 here. Actually, it's India. It's sort of, isn't it the widest country on one time zone or something?
I think we should have had 2 time zones, because if you look at the difference of when sunset is, where on the west coast versus the east coast, it's like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge difference. And I think, I don't know this for a fact, and I'm sure one of our listeners will correct me on Twitter or something, but I think we should have had 2 time zones. They couldn't decide and agree that that was the case, so they went for the half.
No, that's what, really?
So we have a half, yeah.
So it was like, should we do 5 or 6?
I don't know how many other countries have a half-hour.
I don't think
you guys have a half hour over here.
I mean, you've only been here a day, so yeah. Yes, it's 5.5 hours to the UK, for example, or 4.5 hours to Europe.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how many. It's probably 11.5 to.
It's true. I just noticed that right now.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, I think it's the only country. It's the only country I've been to.
Same.
No, I think there's something in Central America, perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe. I just noticed that. I'm telling you, yeah, I'm jet lagged. There's still half in Brazil, half here. Just noticed that. Because I looked at my world clock over here, and I see all the times they all have the same minute over here. But obviously I don't have the local. But I have New Delhi over here, then there's... Wow.
There you go. You learn something new every day,
Learn
Nelson.
something. Thank you very much, Karim.
Jean-Eric Vergne finished 15th and 13th in his 2 appearances at the Indian Grand Prix. Oh, apparently Anna's been in touch saying Adelaide has a half-hour time difference to the East Coast, to Melbourne and Sydney. Just a half hour. That's remarkable. Not even an hour and a half. Here's a look at Degrassi going around in Shakedown earlier on today. Down in towards the Sagar chicane. Attacking the curbs. Bit of a slide on the exit. You can see when the other drivers go offline, it's like they're, you know...
It does seem more dusty than Punta, doesn't it? Like, and we were on the beach there.
Yeah.
Which was... that was quite cool, actually, because you literally had your debrief standing in the sand.
Did
that
you
was
really?
amazing. We went to the beach. We
went
to the beach after practice.
It was amazing.
It was beautiful.
Jack was in the casino, obviously, but...
No. That was season 2. I didn't have any money to gamble. Actually.
Attention all teams, attention all teams. This is race control.
Oh, he sounds happy.
We have just been informed that we will go on time at 17:15. 17:15 will be the start of free practice.
On time.
1.
Yeah, loose use of the word on time, but we'll take it. So 5:15. This is Degrassi coming down now into turn 14. A little bit earlier on today. And then the final chicane at 16 and 17. And out into the final corner.
Exactly 5 minutes to start.
Exactly.
Me and my half-an-hour delayed watch.
So 5 minutes till the session gets underway, and that is fact I've committed to that, but it's looking really, really likely as De Grassi gets suited and ready to head out. Roland coming out too. And yeah, 4.5 minutes now until the session begins. I'm not going to do quite such an elaborate...
You were doing countdown, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
I mean, Nikki's like jumping up and down with excitement at the back of our commentary box. She can't wait for this.
Buzzing. 4 minutes and 10 seconds till the session gets underway. René Rast getting strapped in as well. Dan Ticktum, I think, is the only driver on the grid to have raced in Chennai.
Yes.
At the Madras Motorsports Park.
I believe so, isn't it?
I can't think of anyone else who will have done. He raced there in the Formula MRF Challenge back in the day. I think he might have... Did he win? I can't remember. I don't think I did that one, actually.
I was trying to one where either Jake Dennis or Jake Hughes came, but I don't think they did.
No, I don't believe so. Did he win it? No, it doesn't look like he did. But Sam Bird getting ready to head out, 4th in the championship. And 101 races under his belt. And this is going to be his... Well, it's the 27th city for Formula E, but Bird will have missed Seoul. So it's going to be his 26th. But both Buemi and Verne and De Grassi will have been to all race venues, I believe. But that's just off the top of my head.
Verne missed the first race, and then he met us at Punta.
But he then would have done Beijing and Putrajaya the next year.
Yeah.
So I think he's done all of the tracks, as it were, even if he hasn't done all of the races. Stuck it on pole on his debut, did Jean-Eric Verne in Punta del Este, in what was a very impressive achievement. 3 minutes now, well, 2.5 minutes till the session gets underway. And looking forward to these drivers getting stuck in, because again, in the shakedown session earlier on, it's a fairly short session and they're limited on the power that they can use, and the track was pretty dirty, so it'll be good to see them go for it a little bit more. It was Ticktum did it in 2016-17. So who won? That was the Harry Newey year in the MRF Challenge. Oh, maybe I did do that one. Harry Newey and Joey Mawson. I feel like maybe I did do that season. Oh, Ticktum only did anyway.
Are you just talking to yourself? I mean...
Well, no.
That's what he's paid for.
Have you told him about his clocks yet? Ian James on our screen.
I haven't.
Go on, text him now.
Okay, well, I won't text him. I'll text the guy sitting next to him. Why haven't you changed your... There's James Rossiter. And Envision's Sylvain Filippi, the team principal and CTO. And Mike Lugg sitting next to him on the right-hand side. Roger Griffiths keeping his energy up at Avalanche Andretti. And Thomas Biermeier there on the right-hand side. Fred Espinos on the left at Abt. 1 minute until the pit lane opens. And we get running underway. And as you can see, lots of shadows now starting to appear around the place. So I say we're only an hour from sunset here. But we are 40 seconds from the session getting underway. Fred Bertrand, the CEO at Mahindra Racing. 30 seconds. Sebastian Buemi about to head out in the Envision. Were you fine with delays, Karun, or does it put you off your stride in any way, or it's just frustrating more than anything?
It just is what it is, isn't it? You know, I think there's nothing you can do about it, so you just get on with it. I mean, what do you do, you know?
Yeah.
I think the worst ones
some drivers get a bit worked up.
I think the worst ones are when you get a red flag in the middle of the race. Like if you've done a bit of the race, and then it's red flagged in the middle, and you have to get going again, then it's tricky, right? Because you're...
Especially if you're in a good position or a good rhythm, or
exactly.
things are going well.
Exactly. You know, you're in a flow, and then it's quite tricky then.
Right, here we go then. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Free practice 1 getting underway here in Hyderabad for the 2023 Greenco Hyderabad E-Prix.
Much cleaner already.
Yeah, it does look a lot cleaner, doesn't it? They were cleaning the track in between Shakedown and practice, so hopefully it'll all be a little bit better as they come down now into turn 3. This is down at Lumbini Park on the right-hand side. Gunter coming through there, followed by Eduardo Mortara, and then here comes Lucas de Grassi in the Mahindra, and then it's the Nissan of Sasha Fenestraz. Good to see that the apps are back out there. Kelvin van der Linde after his problem earlier on. But that's attack mode activation on the outside of the left-hander hairpin at turn 3. And then here we go into the chicane at turns 12 and 13. Which then takes you into this right-hander of turn 14. .28 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Here's Max Gunter then, coming into turns 1 and 2. Oh, quite wide there. The at the Sagar chicane. And then down into the hairpin. .27.5 minutes to go, and we've got a red flag.
Okay, everyone, we've got a car, driver's left at turn 18, just after the apex. Please be aware, stay to the right, stay to the right.
It's Wehrlein. It's the championship leader, Pascal Wehrlein, in the wall at the final corner of turn 18. And that's a big hit for Wehrlein. Front right and rear right, both gone. And the red flag is out.
Seems like he clipped inside and went out.
Wow. So Pascal Wehrlein.
Throttle got stuck.
Front wing got stuck. Is that what he said?
Yeah. So Pascal Wehrlein in the barriers, and that is not the way that he wanted this weekend to start, obviously. Fairly obvious thing to say, but good to hear him talking to Carl Wilson-Clark on the radio. But that's turn 18, as you can see, the final corner on the circuit, the right-hander. Just as everyone had got out onto the track. Right, here we go.
There we go.
Whoa. Oh.
That doesn't seem like driver error, does it? Like he was.
No.
He was.
So I think he said throttle got stuck. And you can see, I think, yeah, it's like the wheels are still spinning as he kind of is having the rotation.
That's a big hit.
Yeah.
That's a big hit.
So he's taking the wheel off, Pascal Wehrlein, and we heard him speaking on the radio. But we'll see what damage that has done to the car. Because, okay, they've got all night now to...
Yeah, luckily it's been... first practice. If it was before qualifying, there was no chance he would qualify.
Absolutely. So Pascal Wehrlein, the championship leader in the barriers. What a start to the weekend we're having here in Hyderabad. And a little bit of a shake of the shoulder, as you would anticipate, because he has gone in pretty hard there, Pascal Wehrlein. Looking at the rear of the car.
No, that was, here we go.
Yeah, it was very strong.
That's a really, really big one for Wehrlein.
So maybe it was throttle then.
Yeah, seems like it.
So they'll, I'm fairly sure, take him to the medical centre for that one for a precautionary check. There's a G-force sensor in the car, and if it hits a certain level, a sort of light activates, and you have to go to the medical centre for a checkup. So I wouldn't be surprised if he.
Sure, all the lights were lit up over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what happened. This was Da Costa's view of it. He's running behind his teammate. And there he goes. It just kind of spits him out. It's a really weird one, isn't it? So no one had even set a lap time at this point. Here he comes, full speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's the speed he was coming in there. There's no way.
That's not a driver error.
Yeah, that's not a driver error for sure. But I mean, that's the impact. You know, goes into the driver, right? Because the concrete block, which is not
even moving.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not like the metal barriers that have a bit of give. So I'm glad to see he's up and walking, and you know, the FIA medical delegates have checked him out. Let's try and listen.
I think each of the medical
There he is with.
The light went on. Yeah, that's blue light.
Might have a sore morning.
Just sit him
tomorrow.
down for a while. Just check him out.
So that is his race engineer, Carl Wilson-Clark, just saying, you know, check him out, and the light did go off on that hit. So, well, now we will clear the wreckage. You can see on the left-hand side, it's already been cleared by the marshals here. 23 minutes and 0 seconds to go. And just when you thought that it would, well, just when the drivers thought they would be getting out and getting going again, it's another delay. Not much damage to the wall though, to be fair, is there?
They're pretty strong concrete blocks.
Yeah. Yeah, fair point.
The marshals, by the way, Jack, all local marshals, all people who have worked at other race events in India. You know, it's not like some other events we go to around the world where they have to fly in marshals to support from other parts of the world. Yeah, these are all people who've worked around the country in different racing events.
How many permanent racetracks are there in?
3 now.
Right.
And so there's 2 more. There are 2 more being built.
So what? Speak. Chennai and Delhi.
Chennai, Delhi, Coimbatore, and then there's another one coming in Pune, and a second one coming in Coimbatore. So yeah, we'll be up to 5.
Oh. Right, less than 22 minutes to go. In those first 55 minutes of filling, I feel like I've used most of my filling stuff, but we'll give it another go. Stoffel van Dorn, reigning champion, only 1 point coming into this weekend, and a real frustrating time for DS Penske because they appear to have a quick car underneath them. They're very, very quick in practice. In fact, I think they've been in the top 4 or 5 of every practice session, but not been able to pull it out when qualifying happens.
Okay, attention all teams, this is race control. This is a 1 minute warning, a 1 minute warning. We're gonna go green at 25. We're gonna go green at 25. Thank you.
Okay, very swift clearance, very swift clearance from the marshals. But first of all, let's get a little update, shall we, from Radzi in the pits.
Well, as Pascal Wehrlein made his way back to the Porsche garage, thankfully he walked out of the medical car and did walk very effectively back where he got attention from a lot of the team. Now, the update is that he's now receiving medical supervision, but he is okay, is what we understand. The big question is about the damage to the car. We're waiting to get an update on that one. The team seem fairly buoyant as things stand. Obviously, the first concern goes to the driver. And as we understand now, Pascal is okay. He's walking around. He's feeling good. He's in good spirits, which bodes well for potentially seeing him tomorrow and competing as we know he can, because he's such an important part of this race, as is already shown with domination with a first, second place and 2 first places over in Diriyah.
So Wehrlein, the championship leader, and there is the car. It was a really heavy hit. McLaren say that as the track gets back underway, McLaren say it's just, yeah, left over from Diriyah, those laptop clocks, but they will ensure that it's better tomorrow. So we'll see. Big promises from Neon McLaren. Right, cars on track again. Let's try this once more. Less than 20 minutes to go as they stream out onto the circuit and head down towards turns 1 and 2. And then this is the hairpin at turn 3. Attack mode activation on the outside there. You're going to lose a lot of time by going through that attack mode.
Well, yeah, I mean, look how far it is from the line. And also with the dust we're going to get collected offline is going to be... And it's one of the things we've seen this year, isn't it? Is that they're actually losing out.
Yeah.
Attack mode, sorry, losing track position and not really able to gain the time
Attention
back.
all teams, attention all teams, this is race control. Full course yellow in 3, 2,
It's just a practice,
1.
everybody.
Full course yellow, full course yellow.
So practice full course yellow. This is just a practice like we do every FP1.
Nelson panicked and thought it was going to be another red flag.
Yeah.
We have to finish the stories.
It's getting dark already.
Nelson's ready for his nap.
Sorry, Jack's got a list of dad jokes ready to go.
I don't do dad. Do I do dad jokes? I don't think I do dad. I wear dad trainers, but I don't do dad jokes.
What's a guy who tells dad jokes but isn't a dad called?
I don't know.
A faux pas.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Full course yellow ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
Right. Let's get some green flag running then, shall we? 18 minutes to go in the session. Stoffel van Dorn, well, he's just at the top of the times because of number order still. So we're still yet to have a lap time put on the board yet as Hughes goes all over the place coming out of the chicane. The McLaren's still weaving around to try and get a bit of temperature into their tyres, and with the fact this is being run so late in the day, it's going to make it a bit unrepresentative in terms of track conditions for tomorrow, but then FP1 often is anyway because it's so dirty.
Well, being a new track, they have a lot to learn, limits of the track and the amount of energy that they're going to be recovering and using for the simulation data. There's still a lot to learn, regardless if it's colder later during the day. I mean, new tracks, every lap you do, you're learning a little bit more.
I thought it was an all right dad joke, by the way. Thanks. For those of you just joining, Karun Chandok and Nelson Piquet Jr. with me in commentary this weekend, as here's Sebastian Buemi in the Envision. And as I say, still no lap times on the board. Interestingly, Da Costa is in the pits as Buemi starts to push it a little bit, but Da Costa in the pits maybe as a bit of a precaution for the Porsche squad, considering that problem that Pascal Wehrlein had. So Mortara does a lap time, 1 minute 18.9.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to get a word from Porsche and find out actually what, whether they've got any understanding if that was a mechanical or a software issue. Because if it was a software issue, then you can get Da Costa back on track pretty quickly. If it's a mechanical issue, then it's a bit different because you've got to go through it all and investigate it a bit more thoroughly. So you may not be able to get back on track. And see, Andre Lottre's in the pits as well, obviously with the Porsche powertrain, but Jake Dennis is on track. So yeah, they're not concerned enough that they've stopped their customer cars. If you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Da Costa. And so 15 minutes to go. Right, here we go, on board with Mitch Evans here in the Jaguar TCS, getting a bit of sun in his eyes as he comes through. That's that tricky middle sector. The back end's trying to swap around on him.
Such a tricky tire and track.
This is a wild ride on board with Evans.
He completely missed that apex of 9, and this sector here, because there's one corner into the other, as soon as you're out of line for one bit, it really compromises the next 4 or 5 corners.
Hughes to the top of the times on a 17.4, but the lap times will just drop and drop as the session progresses. Dennis and Lotterer are both in the pits, so all of the Porsche cars in the pit lane. So that means that the second place man in the championship is not going to get as much running as he would have liked in this session also.
I wonder what they're going to do with track limits for that first chicane, actually. Yeah, and I know in Formula E we don't often talk about track limits because normally it's a concrete block that defines the limit. But I'm seeing lots of people doing different things in that first chicane, and I'm sure there's going to be...
yeah, in the race, especially in the race. Oh, remember Mexico, cutting the chicanes, you know, saving a lot of energy in the race. You lift off, you don't brake, and then you let the cars come by again, whatever. I mean, that might be a bit of an issue during the race.
Well, so do you think, were people sort of pretending in Mexico? Oh,
well,
whoops, I missed
it happened several times, yeah.
Really?
Especially towards the end of the race where people were defending, and then it was, you know, they got tight into the corner. It was easier just to go straight. And then it was that whole conversation between the drivers and over drivers meeting that they were doing it on purpose because you would, obviously the apex speed was much higher, so you were spending much less energy to go back, get up to speed. So ongoing conversation that only happened in Formula E because of the energy management.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't a, obviously, combustion series, that wouldn't be the case. But
I remember Jarno Trulli in Moscow. Do you remember him defending from Da Costa, and he just kept cutting the chicane and going
oh, the back
straight on.
chicane,
Yeah, every time. 13 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Here's Tictum's radio.
Main loss, turn 1 mid, 18 entry.
Middle of turn 1, so that's the chicane, and the entry to the final corner at turn 18. That's Tictum's main losses to presumably Eduardo Mortara, who's way.
Ooh.
That was a bit leery from Jake Hughes in the McLaren. Backs off now, and where was that coming through? 6. As the other McLaren of René Rast continues on his way. The roll hoop, the only way to differentiate these two cars.
I've got huge rear locking, like enormous rear locking.
Enormous rear locking for Jake Hughes. Rast is half a second up in sector 1. Bird is 6/10 up after the middle sector.
That's really not what you want on a dusty street circuit, is to have the rear of the car moving around.
Rust is coming for a very quick lap.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, he's 8/10 up after the middle sector, René Rast.
Might get a little bit of traffic here, the last couple of corners. Mortara.
Through the chicane, and then the final corner. And out across the line, and Rast goes quicker than Bird by 0.3 of a second. And here's a look at what Jake Hughes got up to. Into turn 3. Whoa! Whoa.
It's like a handbrake turn.
That was cool. I mean, not for him, but...
Feels a bit Dan Tictum, that, doesn't it?
Yeah. He's kept his boot in.
At least the tires are warm now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great stuff from Hughes. Okay, that makes, because I couldn't work out where on the track it was, because he was at such a weird part of the track, right on the inside after a hairpin. 11 minutes and 20 seconds to go.
So I'll tell you what's interesting, Jack, is once again in a free practice session, both Penske cars in the top 6.
Yeah,
like we've seen it the whole season, haven't we? Like at practices, they've been top 3 even sometimes, and Byrne quickest, I think, in Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's like when it matters in quality of the race, they're just not able so far to have delivered.
And they're not able to come through like the Porsches can. So they qualify 12th or 13th, but don't manage to come through particularly dramatically. Here's Eduardo Mortara coming into turn 3. Bit of traffic ahead. Oh, he's going to hit him. It's Tictum.
Uh-oh.
And Mortara thinks it's Tictum's fault.
How is that Tictum's fault?
I can't quite work that one out. Because Mortara was... Oh, and Gunter was... Wow. So maybe... Wow. What went on there? Maybe Tictum's backed off because he's seen Gunter in trouble or something. But Mortara was never making the corner anyway.
Typical traffic in India.
I have to say, I think on the roads here, you know, the tuk-tuk drive, it's all about marginal gains, isn't it? Like, they're all just desperate for that extra little half a car length.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's very racing driver-y.
On an opening lap of the race, most of these guys would be amazing on the run for the first corner.
You stick it round the outside, you're like, no, this won't work. Oh, it does. Less than 10 minutes to go. Rast back in the pits. Mortara in the pits. And again, still, all the Porsche powertrains in the pit lane at the moment. I've asked the team if they have any update, but nothing yet. Oh, Gunter's getting loose. Over the runoff area.
He did the smart thing there. He didn't try and catch the slide. He just let it go across the runoff area, because otherwise he could have risked like spinning into the inside barrier.
Less than 10 minutes to go. Nico Muller did the fastest middle sector of anyone on that lap. He's 1.4 seconds off the pace of René Rast, but his middle sector was rapid. Gunter jumps up into 6th position then. And fractionally ahead of Eduardo Mortara, but again goes off at
the chicane completely.
Yeah.
He was behind the curb, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like he's taking a lot of curb and going all 4 wheels off. He's just kind of skipping it. Buemi done the fastest middle sector of anybody. This is Mitch Evans. Sounds like he's firing up for a lap, and we'll watch this whole lap.
That's clearly on the steering wheel. You can see when he's on throttle. That's probably when your wheel's spinning. You can see the lights blinking.
It's for their not traction control. Not traction control, traction control.
Sort of tell the driver you're spinning, take it easy.
Down to the hairpin, you can see he has to take his hands almost off the wheel.
Always on exits.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, go race on this lap. Let's do go race. Then we'll stop for cold tires.
So go race sounds like it's a sort of energy conservation setting. He makes his way around 9 and 10 through turn 11 here, then down towards this 12-13 chicane. Not a curb on the left to put himself in the right position for 14. Someone's going to nab a right front at 14, aren't they?
Definitely.
Now into the chicane, or the pit chicane, and into the pits for Mitch Evans. Rast still quickest, Buemi 2nd, 3rd for Van Dorn, 4th for Bird, 5th for the De Grassi. That Ticktum and Mortara incident will be looked at by the stewards, and Hughes goes quickest, 10th quicker than René Rast.
I don't see how Ticktum can take any blame in that.
Yeah, I don't know. You can see DaCosta's not even in the car, so it's not like they're waiting to get going again. So the same, I imagine, is true at Andretti. So all the Porsche powertrains not running in free practice 1.
That's the big story out of
this
session, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So it's interesting. Look, Jack, they're doing just the rears, I think. And we saw this somewhere earlier this year because the rear tire temps were going really way too high compared to the fronts. I think Mexico, wasn't it? A lot of drivers did just the rears in Mexico to control the rear tire temp and get a balance.
6 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Planck on board with Oliver Rowland. So until they get the data from Pascal Wehrlein's car, when it gets back to the pits, none of the Porsche's powertrains are running as a precaution. So that is the reason.
That's tough. That's really going to make it a big challenge for them tomorrow.
On the front foot coming into the weekend, but very much on the back foot now. Here comes Rowland towards the pit chicane. Through the right, through the left, and into the pits. And there was a lot of fruity radio, apparently, from Eduardo Mortara when he got hit by, or when he collided with Dan Ticktum, but he's now gone to the top of the times on a 15.977, half a second quicker than Jake Hughes.
He switches, doesn't he, between his calm Swiss side and the fiery Italian side. So clearly that tripped the Italian switch.
It's very true. I think he's French also in some way. I think he's got triple nationality.
Really?
But I think I think so. Anyway, Cassidy goes second fastest. Muller, whoa, flying through that chicane. So currently I'm not seeing many track limit signs come up on the old timing screen yet, where they did in Valencia, and lap times were getting not necessarily deleted, but certainly noted that that was a lap with track limits, but nothing yet. As, here comes Nico Müller. The Swiss coming through turn 6, that is. And now into this 7, 8, 9, 10 sequence. 4.5 minutes to go.
Jake Hughes is on another good lap. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't improve in the end, loses a bit of time in the middle sector. Dan Ticktum's on a quick lap, 4 tenths up after the middle sector.
I feel like these conditions are made for Dan Ticktum. Low grip, the car moving around, and he's a driver who's very comfortable with that. He's, you know, when it's a slippery, low grip condition, he's got plenty of car control in reserve to hang on to it and put a lap together.
Less than 4 minutes to go. Mortara has returned to the pits, as has Roland. This will be a fun one on board as Ticktum goes second quickest. So 600 slower than Eduardo Mortara. But Buemi's 6 tenths up, Bird is half a second up, Evans is 3 tenths up.
It's a good camera angle, this, isn't it? You really see...
it's in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
That's
the mirror one, yeah.
You have quite a good sense of the speed as you're going through the fences there.
Here's a look at Nico Müller. That was him coming through the chicane. That's the thing, he hit it on the rear and the back end unsettled a little.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do. That's going to be so difficult to control.
3 minutes to go. Buemi's gone fastest now. Evans now jumps him into second place, 200 slower than Sebastian Buemi. Currently Van Dorn has slipped down to 9th. Verne is 16th for the DS Penske's. Bird now to the top of the times. So strong lap times coming in from Jaguar. A sort of home race for them, with their main sponsors TCS being an Indian company.
Well, also Jaguar's owned by Tata, which is an Indian company.
Very true. 2.5 minutes to go, so big weekend for them. Here comes Van Dorn. His first sector is, well, he's after the middle sector is a 10th away. Oh, he's offline though, and he's off the track. This feels like, I don't know if it's just the dustiness of it or what, but this is the most I've seen Formula E drivers struggle for a long time. This is really loose stuff. Fantastic.
I think it's also the tires being a little bit harder than last year's tires. It also makes it a bit more tricky.
Set a camera at the top of the times.
A 15.531. 800's quicker than Bird. Nato up into 9th quickest. Van Dorn goes 5th fastest in the end. Just a shade under 2 tenths away from Sergio Sette Camera. Here's a look at Stoffel Van Dorn. Very wide. And then straight line that chicane. So that was the lap he improved on, wasn't it? So yeah, definitely going to be a bit of track limit discussions, I think, ahead of tomorrow. Nicolas Maudoui there on the right-hand side at Penske, the, I think, deputy team principal, I think is his official title, off the top of my head.
I think they and Maserati, I know officially they, you know, it's obviously not really customer relationship in the way Jaguar and Vision have, but practically speaking, they share a lot of common bits, should we call it?
Yeah.
Hardware, that's the word.
Whoa, Sam Bird! Oh my goodness me.
He's nowhere close to the track. Like he's just flat out through the runoff area.
My heart was in my mouth there. I thought that was a, wow. Yeah, maybe just thought, let's see if I can take it flat.
Yeah, oh, there we go, purple sector 1.
Half a second up. Sam Bird, that'll happen if you don't do the corners.
I mean, but yeah, they can't.
No.
They can't let that lap stand.
More deep Bird.
Well, I'm sure more of them have done the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, can't trust a racing driver, can you? Both the racing drivers stay silent. 7 minutes to go.
Oh,
Bird's getting loose again.
He's off.
This is great. He's just doing his own track. I love it. Checker flag is out. Evans is second quickest. Sete Camera goes quickest. Bird's might go to the top of the times here. He's half a second up. Evans has got a track limits next to his name now on the timing screens here. Here's Bird's radio.
Missed the 12-13 corner.
Well, it obviously wasn't intentional then.
Well, 12-13, but turn 1-2 was completely intentional because he didn't talk about that and he didn't get a track limits warning.
Oh,
so.
and
Who was that, Bird?
that was Verne going straight over, I think, at that final chicane. Comes across the line to take the checkered flag. Cassidy's on a good lap as well, and Buemi's on a good lap. Van Dorn is improving too. Here comes Cass. Doesn't get it stopped. Goes straight on at the pit chicane. Out across the line, and improves up into 10th place. Some big, well, the top 11 are separated by half a second, but then there's some big gaps back to sort of Muller and Fenestras, and there goes Buemi to the top of the times. Van Dorn jumps up into second place. So Buemi is going to end the session fastest on a 1 minute 15.088, 2/10 quicker than Stoffel Van Dorn. Sete Camera third, Bird fourth, De Grassi in fifth spot.
Oliver Rowland only did, how many laps did he do?
12.
Yeah. But his fastest lap was on lap 4. Seems like he didn't improve, or he was, I don't know.
Yeah. This is what happened to Bird at turn 1. Let's have a look at this one again.
Everybody doing towards the end.
Just fired it in. Whoa. That was the one where he was just gone.
He tried.
Yeah. And then this one here as well, coming into 12 and 13. So wild stuff from Bird. Still finished fourth quickest, 6th for Evans. Right, I'm gonna let you guys go and do the FE show, which starts in about 5 or 10 minutes time, something like 8 minutes time. What are the thoughts on this first practice session, Karun?
I think that it's just going to evolve a lot as the track cleans up and the line cleans up. I would like to know just how they're going to play turn 1, because I think we're seeing some big differences there in how brave people are willing to be with track limits.
But a remarkable session for Porsche, well, or sort of unremarkable, but they're going to have their work cut out, Nelson.
Yeah, it's hard to say until they sort out the chicane. Obviously, it's going to be the topic of the driver's briefing later on, because, yeah, I mean, there's easily half a second to be gained or not, or even perhaps even more, I don't know. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to sort it out in driver's briefing later on today.
Did you like driver's briefing? Were you talkative in driver? Out of the two,
Nah.
in fact, I know the answer here. Who was more talkative out of the two of you in the driver's briefing?
Karun was born to talk. I think he was born talking, wasn't you?
Probably,
yeah.
Guys, thank you very much. I'll let you go now to get ready for the FE show, which will be coming up in a few moments' time. So stay with us or head to the Formula E YouTube. You can watch it there. It's not geo-blocked anywhere, I don't think, so you can get stuck into some of that stuff after their mammoth stint for FP1. Stoffel Van Dorn finishing the session second fastest, just under 2 tenths slower than Sebastian Buemi.
This is race control. The car on the right-hand side is having a technical issue, so I would suggest everyone goes to the left. Go to the left, ignore the car on the right-hand side.
Oh, so that's the reason we've got a bit more Hyderabad traffic, because Kelvin van der Linde on the left has a problem, as he did earlier on. The FE website, Formula E website, is the place to watch the Formula E show. Apologies. So the FE website is the place to go to watch the FE show, which will be starting in 5 minutes' time. So van der Linde on the left in the Abt Cupra, stationary. So everyone's having to sort of wiggle around him as they do their practice start. And it's such a long run down towards the first corner here. It must be one of the longest we've ever had in Formula E. I will ask someone from the FIA that a little bit later on, because I don't really remember a longer one. Argentina was quite long. Maybe Battersea Park down towards the first corner, but it's quite rare to have such a long run towards the first corner. And away goes the McLaren off the line. But a reminder, no lap time set by any of the Porsche cars. They're currently first and second in both the drivers and the team's championship, but because of an accident for Pascal Wehrlein at the start of the session, none of the cars did any running. Well, you know, 2 or 3 laps, and that was it. And then they were pitted for precautionary reasons. Here's Kevin van der Linden's radio.
Temperature is recovering maybe, and then we try it again.
So they're trying to reboot van der Linden's car. So here's a look at the highlights of that first free practice session. A bit of a delay before we got going around NTR Gardens. Jake Hughes, all set. Roland chatting with Nick Heidfeld. Sasha Fennestrath having a laugh. But then the business got underway, but almost instantly at the final corner of turn 18, there was a big accident for the Porsche of Pascal Wehrlein and the championship leader as well. The cars pulled out the pits, but it was literally on that first lap that Wehrlein had his incident, hitting the barriers hard. So they got going again, and then we saw a lot of Larry driving, really struggling in the low grip conditions. Evans fighting the car. Through attack mode activation, Jake Hughes got loose. Kept it all together very nicely. René Rast attacking the curbs. Eduardo Mortara into the back of Dan Ticktum, down at the hairpin, much to Mortara's frustration. A few drivers cutting the chicane. Stoffel van Dorn going wide, but it was Sebastian Buemi who ended the session quickest despite Bird's dramatic moment. Buemi was fastest in the end. So that's it for free practice 1. As I say, the Formula E show starting in 2.5 minutes time on the website, so stick around for that. We're going to be speaking to Jehan Daruvula, I think, getting stuck in with the Mahindra team, and all sorts of other things. Darren's been out and about in the city of Hyderabad. We'll bring you all of that. But it is Sebastian Buemi who tops the time for Envision Racing. 2/10 quicker than Stoffel van Dorn. Sergio Sedecamera in 3rd. Bird 4th. Degrassi 5th for Mahindra. Evans down in 6th position. I think there were a few penalties added for track limits. Lap times getting deleted. Mortara 7th. Vern in 8th. Gunter 9th. Nick Cassidy completing the top 10. And outside of that top 10 was just missing out Dan Ticktum, although he looked quick at times. Jake Hughes and René Rast, 13th and 16th. So a bit of a struggle for them. And no time set for Da Costa, Dennis, Lotterer or Wehrlein. The 2 top teams in the championship unable to run in free practice 1 for the Greenco Hyderabad E-Prix.
Just a heads up on some of the schedule.
So Sebastian Buemi, the quickest driver out there, chatting to Sylvain Filippi. Stoffel van Dorn, 2nd fastest, 2/10 slower than Sebastian Buemi. But we still have an awful lot of action to come. The race coming up tomorrow in 3 p.m. tomorrow local time here in Hyderabad, 5.5 hours behind the UK, ahead of the UK, 4.5 ahead of Europe. Bird ended that session 4th fastest as he looks to get back to winning ways, having had a podium in Diriyah last time out. But as I say, we get back underway with on-track action tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Qualifying gets underway at 10:40 and the race itself is at 3 o'clock. Tune in now for the Formula E show with Nicky and the gang. You can watch that on the Formula E website. We've got plenty more to come here in Hyderabad. International Motorsport returns to India for the first time in a decade. And there's the move! World War sit around the outside! Time for the first ever Hyderabad E-Prix. We go green
Hello and a very warm welcome to the FE show live from the Greenco Hyderabad E-Prix. Now this is a particularly special one because throughout Formula E's history there has always been the ambition to race in India, and it's happening for the first time this weekend. I'm absolutely delighted to say that joining me along for the ride we have our expert, probably India's best expert in fact, Formula